Okay, okay. So, Hare Krishna, Prabhu Mataji, welcome and thank you for joining and keeping the appointment, Krishna, today. So, we'll be discussing from Bhagavad Gita, verse number 17.4, 17th chapter. Om Gyantivara Andasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumetam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Abhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadate Supadantikam Vande Ham Shri Guru Shri Yodavada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sagana Ruganatamitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Saganarita Shri Vishaka Tamscha He Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Ganjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhishcha Sandhu Bhayevacha Paridana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So just share the screen first. So today's verse is fourth verse from 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Yajante satvika devan yaksharaksham rajasaha pretan bhutagunam chanye yajante tamasa janaha. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Men in the mode of goodness worship the demigods. Those in the mode of passion worship the demons. And those in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits. So in this verse, Supreme Personality God Krishna describes different kinds of worshippers according to their external activities. See, 15th chapter, in the 15th chapter, Krishna, not the 15th, 16th chapter, last chapter, Krishna has established that faithful followers of Shastra are divine. He said faithful followers who are following Bhagavad Gita, they are divine. And that the faithless, they are all demonic. So the previous chapter was divine and demonic, right? But the problem was, into which category does a man fit who follows with faith something other than Shastras? Is he in goodness? Is he in passion or ignorance? Where is he situated in the banyan tree? So this is the question, right? So the first, in this chapter, from first chapter, first verse to the seventh verse, the modes determine one's faith and one's worship. So Arjuna is asking the question about the situation of one who worships. He is worshipping, but not according to Shastras. So Krishna replies that one who does not follow the Shastra worships according to the faith, and that faith is dictated by his acquired modes of material nature. He may be goodness, passion, ignorance. So when one does not base his faith in Shastric injunctions, his faith becomes based upon his mentality. And the mentality is a product of his particular conditioning by the different types of modes. So in this verse, 44th verse, different worship according to the modes. What are those? We just see goodness. In goodness, people worship demigods for a particular purpose. So in goodness, they worship the demigods and for a particular purpose. To get a good husband, good wife, good money, so many things. So they worship like Brahma, Shiva, Chandra, Indra, sun god. And in passion, they worship the demons. The purport Prabhupada says, for example, a man worshipping Hitler. They used to worship Hitler during the Second World War. That's what we see, they worship heroes, so many other people, apart from Krishna. So this is a man worshipping demons. And the man who is worshipping in ignorance, he worships the ghosts and spirits. dead spirits, ghosts, and all those things. So these are the different worship according to the modes. Now, see, different kinds of worshippers are described according to external activities, right? That's what we saw in the translation. So only the Supreme Personality of Godhead is worshipable. According to scriptural injunctions, only Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is Sri Krishna, is worshipable. That's why we say, and Brahma is first living entity. He says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam Govinda. Krishna is to Bhagavan Swayam. And Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita, Aham Sarvasya Prabhu, I am the source of everything, material and spiritual. I am everything emanates from me. So he is the only worshipable. See, according to Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 3rd chapter, 23rd verse, Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. It says, man in pure goodness worships Vasudeva. So what is the cause of these different worships? It is because those people who are not conversant or even faithful with the scriptures, they worship differently according to the moods. Now coming to impersonalists. That is, but the previous one was even personalists, but they didn't follow the Shastric injunctions. Impersonalists, they're supposed to be in mode of goodness. And the purport, Prabhupada says, they worship 5 kinds of demigods. And he refers to verse number 6, 6th canto, 4th chapter, 34th verse, that we'll discuss. In fact, these impersonalists, they worship the impersonal Vishnu form in the material world. Because they do not ultimately believe in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They imagine that the Vishnu form is just another aspect of the impersonal Brahman. Now, similarly, they imagine that Lord Brahma is the impersonal form in the material mode of passion. And they think, see, that actual truth is impersonal Brahman. They think that. They dispose of all other worshipable objects. So, the point we have to understand is how to purify different qualities of material modes of nature. How can we purify this? Although if you have been worshipping different modes, it is through the association with the persons of transcendental nature. That is through lower devotees. Then it is possible. Through association of devotees, we can come to the at least mode of goodness. In fact, yesterday we saw, we have to be at least in the mode of goodness. You should be above passion and ignorance. And we got the example that if you want to travel anywhere by flight, you have to go to the airport. Minimum, at least you have to go to the airport. Then you can fly. So you should be at least minimum in the mode of goodness. Then it is possible. That is association of devotees. See, Prabhupada, in one of his lectures, he says, demigods means they are also living entities less like you and me. But they have got some power. Just like here also, we worship some demigods, some government officer. He is also a man like me, but he has got some power. And in order to take some advantage of the power, I worship him. I want his favor. See, we see in the middle world, right? Similarly, these kinds of worship of different demigods, Bhagavad Gita condemns. Because they are not required. Bhagavad Gita says, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna says, Kamais ter Rita Jnanaha Prapadyanta Anya Devataha. That is, one person does not surrender to Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they worship different kinds of God. Why? Now, Kama is there, Rita Jnanaha. That means they have lost their sense out of lust, material lust. That's all. So, because our life, this material life, is simply based on lust. We want to enjoy this world. We love this material world because I want to satisfy my senses. See, in the 5th canto, 20th chapter, 5th verse, in the purport, Prabhupada says, the inhabitants of the 5 islands, beginning with Prakshodipa, worship the sun god, moon god, fire god, air god, and Lord Brahma, respectively. Although they engage in the worship of these 5 demigods, however, they actually worship Lord Vishnu, the super soul of all living entities. See, Vishnu is actually Amrita, the supreme Brahman and the origin of everything. auspicious and inauspicious. So Vishnu is the supreme. So he is situated in the heart of everyone, including the demigods. So in Bhagavad Gita 7.20, Kama states there, Virita Jnana Prapadyanta Anya Devataha. Those whose minds are distorted by material desires, they surrender unto the demigods. So people who are almost blind because of lusty desires are recommended to worship the demigods to have the material desires fulfilled. But actually, those desires are not fulfilled by the material demigods. See, whatever the demigods do is done with the sanction of Lord Vishnu. So people who are too lusty worship the various demigods instead of worshipping Lord Vishnu, who is the super soul of all living entities. No, but ultimately it is Lord Vishnu they worship because he is the super soul of all demigods also. So as Prabhupada referred to 6.4.34 purport in this verse, we just see what it says. It says, see, the impersonalists, they imagine various demigods to be forms of the Lord. For example, the Mayavadi worship, they worship the 5 demigods. Panchopasana, that is, they do not actually believe in the form of the Lord. But for the sake of worship, they imagine some form of to be God, some form to be God. Generally, they imagine a form of Vishnu, a form of Shiva, form of Ganesha, sun god, Durga. This is called Panchopasana. Daksha, he however wanted to worship not an imaginary form, but the supreme form of Lord Krishna. So in this regard, Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura, he describes the difference between the supreme personality of Godhead and an ordinary living being. He says, Sarvam Puman Veda Gonams. See, the omnipotent Supreme Lord knows everything. But the living being does not actually know the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I know everything, but no one knows me. So this is the difference between the Supreme Lord and an ordinary living being. See, in a prayer in Srimad Bhagavatam, Kunti Maharani says, my dear Lord, you exist inside and outside, yet no one can see you. So the conditioned soul cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by speculative knowledge or by imagination. Not possible. So one must therefore know Krishna by the grace of the Supreme, right? By all the devotees, association, through who have known the truth. So Krishna reveals himself. So one must therefore know Supreme Personality of Godhead by the grace of the Supreme only. So he is the sanctioner and the witnesser. So he reveals himself, but he cannot be understood by speculation. As stated in Bhagavatam 10:14-29, it says, my Lord, if one is favored even by a slight trace of the mercy of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who speculate to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are unable to know you, even though they can continue to study the Vedas for many years. Go on reading, but doesn't matter. You will not be able to understand. So for all the Vedas, Krishna is to be understood, right? Because he is the compiler. So this is the verdict of the Shastras. So from this verse, we could understand, we see that the different types of people, so different kinds of worship according to their external activities, right? Different. So according to the scriptural injunction, Krishna is worshipable. But those who are not conversant with, or they are not faithful to scriptural injunctions, they worship different objects according to their specific situations, the modes of material nature. So that's why in the goodness, demigods. In passion, demons. And in ignorance, ghosts, spirits, right? So this is what, see, it very clearly described that those who are in the mode of passion, they worship and create such gods, you know, those who are not, and those who are in the mode of ignorance, they worship dead spirits. So this is very, very, so we should come to Sattvam, Vishuddha Sattvam, Vasudeva Shabditam. Only then, when you come to pure goodness, then you'll be worshipping Vasudeva with full heart, pure love. Yesterday we saw the 9 stages of bhakti also, this is the 3rd verse. So this is how we should go from Adav Shraddha, from the faith up to the pure love. So thank you, Prabhu Mataji. Hare Krishna, Granthara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Jai Shri Prabhupada ki. Thy go from there. Here you go. Vancha Kalpatra Vishkapa Sundhavesha Patidana. Thank you, Prabhu Mataji. Hare Krishna for giving this opportunity. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Andrupa Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanavad pranam.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Sumatra Mataji. Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
Prabhuji, Prabhuji, Dhanavad